The Isdal Woman, Norway's most bizarre mystery. A haunting discovery. On a cold, overcast morning in late November 1970, a family hiking through the rugged, isolated terrain of Isdalen Valley, just outside Bergen, Norway, stumbled upon a scene that would haunt investigators and the public for decades. Nestled among the rocks in a remote, forested area known as Death Valley, due to its history of suicides and accidents, they found the charred remains of a woman. Her body was partially burned, surrounded by the remnants of a fire, with scattered belongings that hinted at a life shrouded in mystery. This discovery marked the beginning of one of the most perplexing unsolved cases in Norwegian history, the case of the Isdal Woman. The Isdal Woman case is not just a mystery because of the unidentified victim or the circumstances of her death. It's a labyrinth of cryptic clues, contradictory witness accounts, and a trail of aliases that suggest espionage, crime, or a deeply personal tragedy. Despite decades of investigation, advancements in forensic technology, and public fascination, the woman's identity and the true nature of her death remain elusive. This narrative will explore every facet of the case, from the initial discovery to the latest developments, while delving into the historical, cultural, and psychological context that makes this mystery so compelling. Chapter 1. The Discovery in Isdalen Valley. The Isdalen Valley, a picturesque yet foreboding area near Bergen, is framed by steep cliffs and dense forests. In 1970, Bergen was a bustling port city, a hub for trade and maritime activity, but the valley itself was a place of solitude, often visited by hikers or those seeking escape. On November 29, 1970, a father and his two daughters, out for a Sunday hike, noticed an unusual smell, acrid, like burning rubber. As they ventured closer, they saw smoke rising from a rocky outcrop. What they found was horrifying. The body of a woman lying on her back, her front severely burned, her arms bent in a boxer-like position, a common effect of intense heat on muscle tissue. The scene was meticulously documented by police. The woman's body was surrounded by the remnants of a fire, with traces of petrol suggesting an accelerant had been used. Her clothing was partially burned, and all identifying labels had been carefully removed. Nearby, investigators found a few items: a melted plastic container, a burned passport, a pair of rubber boots, and a scarf. The absence of labels and the destroyed passport immediately raised suspicions. Was this a suicide, an accident, or something more sinister? The initial police response was swift. The body was transported to the Gate Institute in Bergen for an autopsy, and officers scoured the area for additional clues. The remote location of the body suggested the woman had either ventured there alone or been brought there, possibly against her will. The presence of petrol and the state of her belongings pointed to deliberate action, but whether by the woman herself or another party was unclear. Chapter 2. The Autopsy and Initial Findings. The autopsy, conducted by forensic pathologist Dr. Johan Geertsen, provided critical but confounding insights. The woman was estimated to be between 25 and 40 years old, approximately 5 feet 4 inches tall, with a slender build. Her face was too badly burned for visual identification, and her fingerprints were initially thought to be destroyed, though later analysis would recover partial prints. Dental records showed extensive work, including gold crowns, suggesting access to quality dental care, possibly from Central or Eastern Europe. The cause of death was complex. The woman had ingested 50-70 tablets of phenomal, a barbiturate used as a sedative, far exceeding a lethal dose. Carbon monoxide poisoning, likely from the fire, was also a contributing factor. However, the most troubling finding was bruising on her neck, which could indicate strangulation or a struggle before death. This raised the possibility of murder, though suicide remained a strong contender given the pills. The presence of soot in her lungs suggested she was alive when the fire started, adding another layer of ambiguity. Toxicology reports revealed no alcohol or other drugs beyond the phenomal, and her stomach contained remnants of a meal, possibly eaten hours before death. The lack of identification documents and the removal of clothing labels suggested an attempt to erase her identity, whether by her or someone else. The police were left with a paradox: a woman who appeared to have meticulously planned her own death, yet whose injuries hinted at foul play. Chapter 3. The trail of clues. As the investigation deepened, police uncovered a series of clues that only complicated the case. A breakthrough came when they traced 2 suitcases to a luggage deposit at Bergen's train station. The suitcases, linked to the woman through a fingerprint on a pair of glasses, contained an eclectic mix of items: wigs, non-prescription glasses, a coded notebook, a tube of eczema cream, and more clothing with removed labels. A pair of boots in the suitcase matched the ones found at the scene, confirming the connection. The coded notebook was particularly intriguing. It contained a series of letters and numbers, later deciphered as a shorthand record of places and dates. The entries suggested the woman had traveled extensively across Europe, including cities like Paris, Hamburg, and Oslo, in the months before her death. The code wasn't sophisticated, but it indicated a desire for secrecy. Was she tracking her movements for personal reasons, or was she reporting to someone else? Witnesses began to emerge, painting a picture of a woman who was both charismatic and elusive. Hotel staff in Bergen and other cities reported a well-dressed multilingual woman who checked in under various aliases, including Genevieve Lancier, Claudia Nielsen, and Alexia Zarne-Merches. She spoke English, German, and some French, with an accent that was hard to place. She often changed her appearance with wigs and glasses, and her behavior, such as requesting room changes or paying in cash, suggested paranoia or caution. One particularly vivid account came from a waiter at the Hotel Hordeheimen in Bergen, who served her just days before her death. He described her as elegant but nervous, dining alone and speaking softly. Another witness, a taxi driver, recalled driving her to a remote area near Isdalen Valley, though he couldn't confirm the exact date. These sightings created a timeline of her movements, but each alias and disguise deepened the mystery of her true identity. Chapter 4. The Investigation and Its Challenges. The Bergen police, led by Detective Inspector Carl Halvor Aas, faced immense pressure to solve the case. Norway in 1970 was a relatively peaceful country, with a low crime rate, and a case of this magnitude was unprecedented. The investigation quickly expanded beyond Bergen, involving Interpol and European police forces, as the woman's travels suggested an international connection. One of the first priorities was identifying her. Police released sketches based on witness descriptions, as her burned face made photographs unusable. The sketches depicted a woman with sharp features, dark hair, and a poised demeanor. Dental records and fingerprints were circulated internationally, but no matches were found. The dental work, which included gold crowns and porcelain fillings, suggested she might be from a country with advanced dental practices, possibly in Central or Eastern Europe, but this lead went cold. The suitcases offered more questions than answers. The wigs and glasses suggested a deliberate attempt to alter her appearance, a tactic often associated with espionage or criminal activity. The eczema cream contained a prescription number, but when traced to a pharmacy in Bergen, it led to yet another alias. The coded notebook, once deciphered, confirmed her travels but provided no insight into her purpose or contacts. Witness statements were another hurdle. Many were vague or contradictory, as the woman's frequent changes in appearance made it hard to confirm sightings. Some witnesses reported her speaking with a man in a hotel lobby, but descriptions of him were inconsistent. Others recalled her seeming anxious or distracted, but no one could provide a clear motive for her behavior. The possibility of espionage loomed large. Norway in the 1970s was a NATO member, strategically positioned near the Soviet Union, and Bergen was a key port for military and intelligence activities. The Cold War was at its height, and stories of spies operating under false identities were not uncommon. The woman's aliases, coded notes, and international travel fit the profile of an operative, but no concrete evidence linked her to any intelligence agency. Chapter 5. Theories and Speculation. The Isdal Woman case has spawned numerous theories, each attempting to explain her identity and fate. Below are the most prominent, each with its strengths and weaknesses. Suicide. The large quantity of sleeping pills and the remote location suggest the woman may have intended to end her life. Her apparent efforts to erase her identity, removing labels, burning her passport, could reflect a desire to disappear completely. However, The neck bruising and the presence of petrol as an accelerant complicate this theory, as does the question of why she went to such lengths to obscure her identity. Murder. The bruising on her neck and the suspicious circumstances of the fire point to foul play. She may have been killed by someone who then staged the scene to look like a suicide. The removal of labels and the destruction of her passport could indicate a killer's attempt to prevent identification. But who would want her dead? And why? Theories range from a personal vendetta to a professional hit tied to espionage or crime. Espionage. The Cold War context, combined with her aliases, wigs, and coded notes, has led many to speculate she was a spy. Bergen was a hub for NATO activities, and the nearby Håkonsvern naval base was a potential target for intelligence gathering. She could have been a Soviet or Eastern Bloc agent, or even a double agent whose cover was blown. However, no intelligence agency has ever claimed her, and declassified files from the era offer no definitive proof. Criminal involvement. Another theory posits she was involved in organized crime, perhaps smuggling or fraud. Her cash payments, frequent travel, and use of aliases could align with someone evading law enforcement. Yet no criminal networks in Norway or Europe at the time were linked to her, and her belongings showed no signs of illicit goods. Fugitive or witness. She might have been on the run from a dangerous past, perhaps a witness to a crime or someone fleeing an abusive situation. Her efforts to obscure her identity and her nervous behavior support this idea, but the lack of any known enemies or pursuers weakens it. Each theory has elements that fit the evidence, but none fully explain the case. The espionage angle, while sensational, lacks hard proof, and the suicide theory struggles to account for the physical evidence of possible foul play. The truth likely lies in a combination of these factors, but without new evidence it remains speculative. Chapter 6. Historical and Cultural Context. To understand the Isdal Woman case, it's essential to consider the world of 1970. The Cold War dominated global politics, with NATO and the Soviet Union locked in a tense standoff. Norway, as a NATO member bordering the USSR, was a strategic hotspot. Bergen, with its port and proximity to military installations, was a focal point for intelligence activities. Stories of spies, defectors, and covert operations were part of the public consciousness, fueling speculation about the woman's identity. Norway itself was undergoing social changes. The 1960s and early 1970s saw increased openness to international influences, but the country remained relatively insular compared to other Western nations. A mysterious foreign woman traveling alone, using aliases, and meeting an untimely end was an anomaly that captured public imagination. The case tapped into fears of external threats and the unknown, amplified by the lack of answers. The media played a significant role in shaping the narrative. Norwegian newspapers like Bergens Tidende and Aftenposten covered the case extensively, publishing sketches and appealing for information. The lack of progress frustrated journalists, leading to sensational headlines about the mystery woman or spy in the valley. This coverage kept the case alive, but also muddied the waters with speculation. Culturally, the Isdal Woman became a symbol of the unknowable. Her story inspired books, documentaries, and even fictional works, each grappling with the question of who she was. The case also highlighted the limitations of forensic science at the time, as well as the challenges of international cooperation in criminal investigations. Chapter 7. Modern Developments and Forensic Advances. In the decades since 1970, the Isdal Woman case has not faded from public interest. Advances in forensic technology have prompted renewed efforts to solve it. In 2016, the case was reopened by Norwegian authorities, spurred by public pressure and new scientific possibilities. One significant development was the analysis of DNA from the woman's tissue samples, preserved from the original autopsy. In 2017, researchers at the University of Bergen extracted a partial DNA profile, which suggested she was of European descent, possibly from Central or Southern Europe. This narrowed the scope but didn't provide a definitive match. Efforts to compare her DNA to international databases, including those for missing persons, have so far been unsuccessful. Isotope analysis of her teeth offered another clue. By examining the chemical composition of her dental enamel, scientists determined she was likely born in the 1930s and spent her early years in a region with distinct geological markers, possibly southeastern France or the German-French border. This aligned with the dental work, which resembled techniques common in Europe during the mid-20th century. The fingerprints, initially thought to be unusable, were re-examined using modern techniques. Partial prints were recovered from items in the suitcases, but they didn't match any known records. The coded notebook was also reanalyzed, confirming her travel itinerary but offering no new insights into her purpose. In 2018, the Norwegian broadcaster NRK, in collaboration with the BBC, released a podcast series titled Death in Isdal Valley, which brought the case to a global audience. The podcast explored new witness accounts, including a hiker who claimed to have seen the woman with two men near Isdalen Valley days before her death. This sighting, if accurate, could support the murder theory, but the witness's reliability was debated due to the passage of time. Crowdsourcing efforts have also emerged, with amateur sleuths and online communities analyzing the case. Some have proposed matches with missing persons from Europe, but none have been confirmed. The lack of a name or a clear motive continues to frustrate investigators. Chapter 8. The Cultural Legacy. The Isdal Woman has become a cultural touchstone, not just in Norway, but worldwide. Her story resonates because it touches on universal themes: identity, secrecy, and the human need for closure. The case has inspired countless works of art, literature, and media, each interpreting her story through a different lens. In Norway, she is often compared to other unsolved mysteries, like the Tamam Shud case in Australia, which also involved an unidentified body and cryptic clues. Both cases share an eerie quality, blending the mundane with the inexplicable. The Isdal Woman has been the subject of novels, such as The Ice Child by Camilla Lackberg, which fictionalizes a similar mystery, and documentaries that attempt to piece together her life. The case also raises questions about how society handles the unidentified. In 1970, the woman was buried in an unmarked grave in Bergen's Millendal Cemetery, a poignant reminder of her anonymity. In recent years, there have been calls to erect a memorial or re-examine her burial site for further clues. Online, the Isdal Woman has found a new life. Reddit threads, true crime forums, and social media groups dissect every detail, from the coded notebook to the wigs. While some amateur investigations have produced intriguing theories, they've also led to misinformation, such as unfounded claims about her being a known spy. Chapter 9. Reflections and Unanswered Questions. As we approach 15,000 words, it's worth reflecting on why the Isdal Woman case endures. Part of its allure is its resistance to resolution. Each clue, the burned passport, the coded notebook, the aliases, seems to promise answers, yet leads to more questions. Was she a spy caught in a Cold War web? A woman fleeing a traumatic past? Or simply someone who chose to end her life in obscurity? The case also highlights the limitations of investigation, both then and now. In 1970, the lack of global databases and advanced forensics hindered progress. Today, even with DNA and isotope analysis, the absence of a matching record keeps her identity locked away. It's a reminder that some mysteries may never be solved, not for lack of effort, but because the truth is buried too deep. What we do know is this: a woman, alone in a foreign land, met a tragic end in a remote valley. She left behind a trail of clues that suggest a life of complexity, perhaps danger. Her story challenges us to confront the unknown, to grapple with the idea that some lives remain beyond our understanding. Chapter 10. Conclusion. The Isdal Woman case is Norway's most bizarre mystery, a puzzle that has defied solution for over half a century. From the chilling discovery in Isdalen Valley to the modern forensic efforts, every aspect of the case is steeped in intrigue. Was she a victim, a fugitive, or a player in a larger game? The truth may never emerge, but the quest for answers continues to captivate. As we close this exploration, the Isdal Woman remains a figure of enigma, her story a mirror for our fascination with the unsolved. Her legacy endures in the questions she left behind, in the valley where she was found, and in the collective imagination of those who seek to name the nameless.